Tonight on Action News, there's more on that Somonex 2 band, a Vietnamese Horatio Alger story in Loomis, Buzzy the cross-eyed tiger and other friends at the Fulsom Zoo. Steve Summers tells you what will happen to the Camellia Bowl. Bette Vasquez checks on the weekend weather. And now, Dave Walker and the Action News team.
Good evening. Topping the news, the question everyone has been waiting for at the Gillette Squeaky Fromme trial was finally asked today. Does she want to testify? Action News reporter Don Strickland has been covering that trial. Don?
Well, Dave, the question was asked, but we still don't have the answer, unfortunately. Late this afternoon, after a mysterious 45-minute recess, defense attorney John Verga told Judge Thomas McBride that Ms. Fromme had previously indicated she did not intend to testify. Verga told the judge that if she did not take the stand, he was ready to rest the defense case. But he said if she wants to talk, there are other witnesses that he will call. Ms. Fromme was brought to the courtroom, and Judge McBride told her she did not have to testify, that she could remain silent. But he said if she takes the stand, she becomes a witness and is subject to cross-examination. And then he asked, Ms. Fromme, do you wish to testify? Your Honor, she began, I can't answer that question right now. The judge indicated it was an ongoing trial and she should have been pondering the possibility of testifying. I'll answer on Monday, she said, and left the courtroom. So, Monday, we'll find out if Ms. Fromme's desire to use the courtroom as a forum will outweigh legal advice that she's probably better off to keep quiet.
Were there any new witnesses in that trial today, Don?
Yes, there was one new witness, a young auto mechanic named Peter Perry. Perry testified that in December 1973, he and some friends took Miss Fromme and Sandra Good to a gun range near San Francisco. He said he showed Miss Fromme how to operate a .22 caliber semi-automatic pistol. He said she learned how to load the weapon, including racking the slide to put a cartridge in the firing chamber. The defense contends that she knew how to load the .45 that she pointed at President Ford, but that there was no bullet in the firing chamber because she never really intended to shoot him.
So I guess we'll find out Monday, Don, whether Squeaky will testify.
And the prosecution is waiting anxiously.
Okay, thanks for that report. In Stockton, students at Lincoln Senior Elementary School are getting a close look at the court and the jury system. For the last 2 days, a trial has been held at that school. The local police and the district attorney's office patterned this armed robbery trial after an actual case. Local attorneys portray the judge and defense counsel, and an assistant DA handles the prosecution. Members of Stagg High School law enforcement class acted as the defendant and witness. Everything was set up just like it would be at a real trial. The whole thing was staged for the benefit of Lincoln's youth crime and law course. Members of the class were the jury and the spectators. Their teacher, Mrs. Joan Wingo, hopes the trial will give the students a better understanding of the criminal justice system. The Sacramento County Sheriff's Office says tonight that they have no arrest yet in that fatal shooting last night outside a pizza parlor in Campus Commons. The victim, 24-year-old Victor Manuel. The Sacramento Medical Malpractice Crisis Center says it's now getting pleas from small communities for doctors. Typical of the request is this telegram from Tule Lake. As the malpractice insurance rates go up, more doctors quit. In small towns with only a few doctors can't afford to lose even one. Besides handling these requests, the Crisis Center is working with Women for Malpractice Reform. That's a statewide movement to put pressure on the government. They're circulating petitions for another special legislative session. Those petitions will be handed over to the governor by next week. Each year, there are 60 more people who must go on kidney dialysis machines just to stay alive. The need has been surpassing the availability of that very expensive equipment, but a new center in Sacramento could help to relieve that situation.
20-year-old Greg Steinbeck is getting ready for 6 long hours hooked into a dialysis machine. His kidneys don't function and he must have the treatment 3 times a week. It can be painful, and Greg often gets sick to his stomach as his body chemistry is changed, but the process is keeping him alive. He is one of the patients now using the Sacramento Community Dialysis Center. The private clinic was opened a few weeks ago by 2 doctors who recognized a definite need. Before their clinic, there were only 25 dialysis units available in Sacramento, and some patients were not able to get the treatments as often as they should. Dialysis is simply filtering the blood to remove bodily waste ordinarily handled by the kidneys. Service for older people and better identification of kidney diseases is steadily increasing the number of patients. The new center now has 6 units. It will eventually have 14. Without this expanding service, it's possible that another young person like Greg would face an early death. Susan Harris, Action News 13, Sacramento.
Well, tonight we have a twist on that familiar, heartwarming tale of someone who's learned to walk again after years of being confined in a wheelchair. It's a man in series who's learning to sit again.
If I could just get off these feet. How many times have you said that to yourself after a hard day at work or in the kitchen? Well, the next time you do, consider Robert Sauls, who spent 33 years without sitting, his back frozen by surgery and the effects of arthritis. He's forgetting already how he used to walk, but son Bob has perfected the stiff-legged style and recalls it for him. The senior Sauls is learning to sit again thanks to modern medical science. His new hip joints are made of steel and implanted in the bone. It has taken 2 operations and lots of therapy, but Sauls is rediscovering what it's like to eat without kneeling or standing. And when he returns to his school principal's job in January, he can sit instead of stand at those long administrators' meetings. There's little doubt there's excitement in the Sauls household these days, but above all that's happened to him, Sauls wants others to know about his miracle in hopes medical science can make them walk or even sit again. When I first talked to Sauls about doing the story, I wanted to know how he has accomplished some of the basic things in life that we take for granted, like going to work, for example. Has he walked, or does he drive a milk truck? Well, at that point, he burst out laughing, for that's exactly what he has done, and his latest vehicle is this 1966 Divco. Craig Prosser, Action News 13, series.
Yesterday, Action News told you about this sleeping pill, Sominex 2, and how the state has ordered it off the market. Today, Capitol correspondent John Geer followed up on that story.
Yesterday, the State Department of Health put out this news release in which the manufacturers of Sominex 2 were told to cease the distribution and sale of the product in California, and that Sominex 2, now offered for retail sale, must be immediately withdrawn. Well, here it is 24 hours since this release, and Sominex 2 is still on the shelf. You can buy it today. If that has you confused, well, you're not the only one. The problem is that the health department notified the media, but not the pharmacists or the people who sell Sominex 2. The health department says it doesn't have the authority in this case to tell druggists what to do, not even an information flyer. So your friendly neighborhood pharmacist had to hear about the Sominex 2 hazard warning in the news. That worries the man who represents pharmacists. He says when the public can't get the information from the man they trust, it lessens that trust and may create confusion.
It is a problem when things are divulged to the press prior to us knowing about it, so that when persons like yourself ask us, we often are not able to respond.
The way the state figures it, it's up to the makers of Sominex 2 to spread the word to pharmacists and to help get the product off the shelf. Ray Jones says the state didn't even notify his association so it could help inform its member druggists. The feeling among some pharmacists I talked to today is that the process needs immediate revision, so they never again have to say to their customers, "I don't know." I'm John Geer reporting from Sacramento.
That newest California poll shows Governor Brown soaring to what it terms an unprecedented peak in public confidence. Exactly half of those responding say the governor is doing a good job. But meantime, the same poll shows President Ford plummeting to his lowest level since he took office. Only 21% of those Californians rate him as good. Meanwhile, the former governor was stumping in New Hampshire today. Ronald Reagan pledged to support President Ford if he loses the presidential nomination. North Vietnamese officials will meet with a House committee next week in Washington. They want to know what happened to U.S. soldiers missing in action. And ABC correspondent David Snell explores the mind of a boy genius. These and other stories on ABC News at 6 o'clock. Next on Action News, the spirit that won the West is helping a former Vietnamese general. And we'll find out about water polo in sports as Action News continues.
Hunting season, one of the best times of year for the sportsman, and you can count on the Tower of Sports to be as ready for it as you are. Only at the Tower of Sports will you find the famous wall of guns, where you can compare famous brand names like Remington, Winchester, Savage, Browning, Ithaca, Smith & Wesson, and many more. Plus, you'll find a complete selection of hunting accessories. Shop the Tower of Sports, where your Bank AmeriCard and Master Charge cards are welcome Monday through Saturday till 9:30 p.m., 1835 Howe Avenue, Sacramento.
When American Sound says all around, they mean 3 great locations: Sunrise Mall, Florin Mall, and Freeway Close at Watt Avenue and Highway 880. And they mean all around in stereo systems. Everything you need, like this great Sansui system with a full-size record changer, these big 3-way 12-inch speaker systems, and the Sansui AM/FM receiver. A fantastic system, and at the American Sound price of only $333. Only one of over 120 systems in the $200,000 inventory. American Sound all around Sunrise Mall, Florin Mall, and Watt Avenue at Highway 880.
Death Valley, the hottest place in America. 3 1976 Chevrolet Vegas equipped with a new Dura-built engine recently ran 60,000 miles each through country like this. In 180,000 total miles, the only engine part replaced other than maintenance items was one timing belt. 1976 Chevy Vega Dura-built engine. Built to take it. Don't just take our word for it. Ask Death Valley.
Most electric shaver companies make one system for everyone, but all men aren't alike, so Remington now offers 2 different systems.
This Remington radial is great for electric razor users. Its contoured head makes it the most advanced version of the Remington system yet.
I'm a blade shaver, but Remington's new Soft Touch with its thin, flexible screen is the first electric to give me a close, comfortable shave.
The Remington systems. One is right for you.
Your Remington dealer in Sacramento is Pay and Save Stores.
In the little western town of Loomis, just outside of Sacramento, the spirit of self-reliance and determination that won the West is cropping up again in an unusual new way.
What is this old cowboy looking at? Well, he may not know it, but that gas station operator taking care of his pickup truck is maybe a little like the story of the Old West being told all over again in modern dress. That gas station owner just happens to be a former general in the South Vietnamese Army, the chief of their Corps of Engineers, a cabinet member, a civil engineer. He speaks 6 languages. Now he's pumping gas. And in that way, well, maybe he's just a little like that old cowboy's ancestors who probably forsook a comfortable life elsewhere 100 years ago to start all over again. With the help of a county supervisor and an oil company distributor, General Nguyen Van Chuk has bought this old service station in Loomis and is now running it with the help of his own family of 8. He's also using it to teach the business to 2 other refugee families from Auburn's Hope Village, so they in turn can buy their own service stations. Not a single refugee from Hope Village is now on welfare, he says, or even using food stamps. They're all making it on their own.
We are motivated this way. We have to show to the American people that we are good people and that the good idea for the American to bring us here and help us.
Vietnamese refugees. Are they learning from us or are we learning from them? Bill Branch, Action News 13, Loomis.
Well, lawmen are getting less and less uptight about the term pig that was used during the 1960s. In Sacramento, that annual football game between the Sacramento Police Department and the County Sheriff's Department is known as the Pig Bowl. And in Modesto, a cop is making it his hobby to collect pigs, all kinds of them, ceramic pigs, metal pigs, stuffed pigs, more than 300 of them in all, including one designed for use as a hashish pipe. Officer Chuck Grom got his first pig as a gift a few years ago, and after that the hobby just sort of took off. Now he makes special trips just to buy pigs. He's the school safety officer for the Modesto Police Department and particularly likes the cartoon showing that even the crossing guard has suffered under that insult. The term pig may have had a derogatory origin to the policeman today. The 3 letters mean pride, integrity, and guts.
And I wish the Camellia Bowl would draw as well as the Pig Bowl did last year. The Pig Bowl had, I think, 20,000 last year, and the Camellia Bowl only drew 11,000.
And it's in trouble, and what can be done to help it?
Well, we'll try and find out. There is one main factor that might help the Camellia Bowl, but there is no question about it. It is in trouble, and the Camellia Bowl may not make 1976. It gets no help from the city, the county, or anyone else. There is only really one thing that can keep the Camellia Bowl in Sacramento: you.
Steve, we're in a point now where either we are or we aren't. We're not going to ask the city council for help anymore, and we've decided, our board, that we're not going to ask the county supervisors for help, and we're not going to ask the chamber. We're either going to, people are going to want it or they don't want it. If they don't want it, we're going to be embarrassing the city of Sacramento by being on television with empty stands or partially empty stands. Steve, we'd rather give it up. It's too much work to go through the rest of it without the city and being an asset to the city, because that's why the game was really brought about.
I'll tell you something, I bet you the Camellia Bowl isn't going to be around in 1976. I don't think you care, and I don't think anyone's going to go. At times I feel it's a waste of time to urge you to go to keep the Camellia Bowl in Sacramento, but you don't care. Manuel Ramos is one of Channel 13's best news reporters. He covers Stockton like a blanket, wins awards, and even has groupies. Yet Manny is hurt and frustrated. He never gets to do a Stockton sports story for me. Well, today he got his chance.
There aren't many sports around as tough and demanding as water polo, and the PCAA is one of the best water polo leagues in the nation. The Olympic-sized pool at the University of the Pacific is the setting for top-caliber water polo today and tomorrow. UOP is the host for this year's league championships. 5 teams will play in the round-robin competition, so spectators can see all the squads in the water tomorrow. In this matchup, UOP and the Whitecaps lost in overtime to San Jose State 8-7. But the Spartans still have to face top-seeded Long Beach. The winner is virtually assured a berth in the NCAA championships. Manuel Ramos, Action News 13, Stockton.
Well, anyway, when Craig Prosser heard that Manuel Ramos was doing a sports story for me, Craig Prosser went to Manny for a talk. Craig, hi, Manny. Manny, hi, Craig. Craig, I heard you got to do a sports story for Summers. Manny, wasn't much, just a little something. Craig, sure, Manny, sure. Well, you know what? Manny, what? Craig, I got to do one, too.
Number 31 is Freddie Douglas of Stagg, who's chalked up real estate 10 yards at a clip this season, but he is just one of the threats to contend with if the Bayer Patriots are going to knock off the Delta Kings in Saturday's Turkey Bowl in Stockton. Beating Stagg has become an obsession at the North Modesto School, whose football team finished 9-1 this year, winning the Central California Conference title in only its 3rd year of varsity play. Coach Dean Lawn is counting on Bayer's power eye to put some points on the board. They'll have to because Stagg's big play Veer has been averaging 30 points a game and ran up 35 against Lodi in the SJAA title game last week. Bayer's only loss was a 1-pointer to Lodi, but they're serving notice on Stagg. They're ready this time.
Yeah, I think we can whoop them. That's all I got to say. Our defense is I think, superior, and I think we can stop both their running backs. I can depend on our line because they've made big holes all year long for me to run through. I think they don't have a chance.
Bayer's defense may have the edge on Stagg, but then so did Lodi's. The winner will claim the Central California Championship. Game time is 1:30 tomorrow at UOP. Craig Prosser, Action News 13, Modesto.
Speaking of game time, don't forget tomorrow morning at Channel 13, 9:30, Ohio State and Michigan. And then at 1:30, when we're all supposedly watching the Pitt-Penn State game, there will be live cut-ins of the Cal-Stanford game as well. That is tomorrow on Channel 13, a great sports afternoon. It'll take you right up through Bell Lang's American Outdoorsman. What is the name of his show?
A feast for college football fans.
Yeah.
More news in a minute.
Meet Stephen B., the Come Alive fragrance by fashion designer Stephen Burrows.
It's time to be me. I'm breaking free with Stephen B.
Meet Stephen B., the laughing, loving, dancing, freshening, freeing now fragrance from that watch-out world I'm coming through designer Stephen Burrows.
The B is for Burrows and breaking free.
Available at Wine Stocks.
California small car buyers have an excellent domestic alternative in the new Ford Pinto MPG. The base MPG sticker price, excluding title and taxes, is lower than the new VW Rabbit, Toyota Corona, and the base 4-passenger Chevette. And Pinto's price also includes over $200 in extras like radial tires, rear window defogger, and tinted glass that are no longer extra. They're standard equipment. Some things to think about before you buy.
Ford has what California drives. Introducing Bird's Eye's new Wisconsin country-style vegetables. Will real Wisconsin folks think it tastes like the real McCoy? Listen.
It's very good. I would say it's as good as my wife's cooking.
There's broccoli and onions and carrots. The sauce is very delicious. And the cheese flavor on top is really good.
Just tastes good to me.
Tastes like Wisconsin.
Try Bird's Eye's new Americana recipe vegetables, Wisconsin style. You'll think it tastes like the real McCoy.
Gillette introduces Track 2 Shave Cream. New, different than ordinary shave creams, because Track 2 is Gillette's before and after shave cream. Before you shave, it softens whiskers for the smoothest shave possible. After you shave, special aftershave conditioners keep your skin soft and smooth. Conditioners that fight aftershave dryness. New Track 2 Shave Cream with aftershave conditioners.
A midnight meeting between Governor Brown and a group of United Farm Workers has evolved into a marathon sit-in in the governor's office. About 60 workers and their supporters moved into the reception area yesterday protesting administration of the new farm labor law. Workers urged the governor during the late-night meeting to remove Walter Kintz as general counsel of the State Agricultural Labor Relations Board. Brown responded that he has no authority to remove Kintz. Well, there are some strange sounds, sights, and smells around Sacramento's Sunrise Shopping Center. Summers, you been around there? No. Circus Vargas opened last night, and inside the big orange tent is all the excitement you'd expect from one of the all-time popular forms of entertainment. One of the hits of the show is the double changeover of the flying trapeze. Circus Vargas continues through next Wednesday. Good thing those guys didn't have to do that double changeover in that fog we had this morning around the area.
That's right. Visibilities were down to 1/8 of a mile in Sacramento and the Stockton areas, and I'm afraid there'll be a repeat tomorrow morning.
So drive carefully, but if you think the weather was kind of foggy here and miserable, it's really bad where in the Midwest today.
Exactly. Folks in the upper Midwest, though, are sighing a bit of a relief because the blizzard conditions have come to a bit of an end. But on the other hand, Thursday's storm did cause wind gusts from up to 50 to 70 miles an hour through Denver. The storm moved easily over a large section of the Great Plains and upper Midwest. Parts of Nebraska dumped with over 20 inches of snow. South Dakota reporting it the worst storm to hit in 10 years. At least 8 deaths have been attributed to the storm. The National Weather Service reporting that it has lost much of its punch and is now moving into Canada. So now we'll look at some of the temperature readings that we enjoyed through California. And if you take a close look, you'll notice that the coastal areas did a little bit better than we did through the interior. San Francisco, a high of 60 degrees. That's a little bit warmer than what we had. But then you'll notice Chico. That's kind of strange. They were up to 62, whereas Yuba City with a 56, Sacramento, that same figure. Stockton, a high of 57, Modesto 55, Fresno, that same figure, Monterey, a high of 60 degrees. Through the coastal areas, excellent visibilities, and actually it was clear throughout California from one end to the next, with the exception of the foggy conditions through the Central Valley. Through the southern part of the state, a little bit windy, again gusts up to 50, maybe a little bit better than 50 miles an hour, caused by a rather strong high-pressure area, the gradient rather severe, from the New Mexico into the southern part of the state. So for that reason, it was a little dusty and a little dirty. We also have another high-pressure area off the coast, and that's more or less brought us that rather nice condition. What we expect really over the weekend is weather that you'd find very similar in San Francisco, kind of gloomy and overcast during the early morning hours, and of course the fog, and then a little bit of sunshine during the afternoon. There is a frontal system moving into the Pacific Northwest. For that reason, there is a bit of a chance of rainfall if you're going hunting, for instance, in the extreme north coast and the North Sacramento Valley, and also in the higher mountain regions. There might be some snow flurries there. Otherwise, this is how it looks for San Francisco. A fair but partly cloudy weekend, variable winds to 15 miles an hour with a rather slow warming trend. For the northern mountains, by Saturday night, it should be quite cloudy with a very slight chance of showers in the extreme north portion Saturday night and Sunday. For the northern San Joaquin Valley, look for more fog in the morning hours, otherwise fair through Sunday. Cold at night with areas of light frost and continued light winds. For the lower Sacramento Valley, morning fog, cloudy skies late Saturday, variable winds 5 to 15 miles an hour, and that slight chance of rain in the extreme north portion. And simply because we are going to have some clear skies tonight and light winds, why there's a chance of some frost and fog.
Yeah, the weather looks really nice for that Stanford Cal game tomorrow.
Oh, good weather. Good.
Good football weather, beautiful weather. Next on Action News, Bill Evans talks to the animals.
Excuse me, sir.
From Germany, authentic Westminster chimes, richly crafted casework. Both these clocks and others at Ward's are now available at $100 savings. Come to Ward's now and get a clock that does more than just tell time.
This beautiful Brasilia tote feels like real Italian leather, has expensive touches.
Looks compact, yet holds so much. I carry paperbacks in here, glasses here. I use this locking compartment for valuables and whatever else I need. This little pocket's for keys and things. It looks like a $30 bag, but yours for an amazingly low $12.99. And it comes with your initials. Don't miss this incredible value. Be sure to see this amazing offer in the comic section of this Sunday's Sacramento Bee.
Now, folks, I'm honest, I'm sincere, and I tell you, when you buy a car at John Geer Chevrolet, you get everything that's a-coming to. We give 2 bumpers with every car, and every car sold at John Geer Chevrolet is guaranteed for 5 years or 3 miles, whichever one comes first. And you get 4 of them fenders. You folks come on out to John Geer Chevrolet, Florin Road West at Franklin. Oughtn't that fender be stuck back on the car?
There's an unusual family in Fulsom that's attracted a lot of national attention. And Action Country's Bill Evans visited with the father of the family, Gordon Braun.
When I arrived, Gordon and one of his kids, Buzzy, the cross-eyed tiger, were busy discussing breakfast. With a kid this big, you do a lot of listening. But it goes without saying that there's a lot of love between Gordon and his kids. This is Tom, a North American mountain lion Gordon raised from a tiny cub just after Tom's mother was shot in Nevada. Actually, each animal in the Fulsom Zoo was either an orphan, a cripple, or a discard, but they found a home here.
That's not a lollipop, though, sweetie.
Lobita is a Mackenzie wolf from Canada who gave me an eager and warm welcome, again reflecting the kind of atmosphere Gordon has built at the Fulsom Zoo. It's also an open classroom for kids from schools throughout the area. Rarely is there a day when there is not a group of visitors who have come to see Gordon and his family. It's a valuable learning experience for the kids.
Well, we say these are our kids.
This is your family.
This is our family. Billy. Okay, Alice, come on.
There's a story behind every animal here at the Fulsom Zoo, which in itself is a very unusual story. The story of Gordon Braun and his family and the love and trust that they share. Bill Evans in Action Country. My baby. What you want?
Bill Evans talks to the animals. Anyway, Ratzel will be on Action News tonight at 11 o'clock. In case you're interested, he'll be wearing his fancy new coat. The bicentennial spirit isn't complying with the spirit of the law in Sonora and Modesto. A huge 12 by 20-foot American flag was stolen from a Modesto gas station. Police are looking for the 2 men who swiped that $600 flag. And in Sonora, the city council is going to grease the flagpole. They got a problem because in recent months, the thieves have climbed that 25-foot flagpole to steal a $37.50 Old Glory. Just doesn't seem like the American spirit, does it? Tonight on Action News, you'll find out what Rockefeller thinks of Reagan. Next up, ABC Evening News.
From New York, this is ABC News. Now, Harry Reasoner.
Good evening. Ronald Reagan plans to take things fairly easy for most of the rest of the year, but his first 30-odd hours as an official candidate for president have been about as busy and far-flung as you can get without Air Force One at your disposal. Frank Reynolds knows. He's been with him.
Ronald Reagan has been a formally declared presidential candidate for only 2 days. In that time, he has called for a review of the U.S. position in the UN, renegotiation of the arms control agreements with the Russians, denounced the new campaign reform laws as evil, reaffirmed his opposition to gun control and the Equal Rights Amendment for women, warned against hysteria over recent revelations about the CIA and FBI, praised Mayor Daley of Chicago and the ski slopes of New Hampshire, called for a $90 billion cut in federal spending, gave the back of his hand to critics who say he is too far to the right to appeal to Democrats and independents, ruled out a third-party movement and a non-conservative running mate, and in North Carolina today, he quoted Franklin D. Roosevelt.
He himself said, "We have built new instruments of public power in the hands of the people's government, but in the hands of political puppets of an economic autocracy, such power would provide shackles for the liberties of our people." Well, unfortunately, that warning went unheeded.
Despite his conservative image, Ronald Reagan is offering the country what he admits is a radical philosophy. But what he is proposing is not that the federal government be mobilized to solve the country's problems, but that it be demobilized, to some extent dismantled. After this airport press conference in Chicago, he returns to California and will make few campaign appearances before the first of the year. In the first part of January, however, he will come riding out of the West once again to appeal to Republican voters in Florida, New Hampshire, and other primary states in the Midwest, South, and East. This is Frank Reynolds, ABC News, with the Reagan campaign in Chicago.
Vice President Rockefeller went to Wichita, Kansas today to address the annual winter meeting of Republican governors. It was not surprising that the central topic was Ronald Reagan's official entrance into the race. ABC's Bob Clark has a report.
The timing was coincidental. The Republican governors scheduled their Wichita meeting long ago. But their conference provided the first test of Ford versus Reagan sentiment among the governors, and the president won hands down.